What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another preview stream for you guys. We got Brian Daigle back with us in the absence of Sim. How we doing, brother?
We're doing good, my man. It's another day. We've got 3 days together, haven't we? Got the hat trick yesterday, today, the watch along tomorrow to talk all things Tottenham.
Yes, and it is Nottingham Forest at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this weekend, which could be Antonio Conte's last game. What are you feeling about that? Do you think it will be Antonio Conte's last game?
So, like I said to you, I had a bet that I think it would have been he would have been gone by today, or by the game. Sorry, so we've still got time. But the worrying thing for me is I think you're going to be saying this every single game for the rest of the season. If we lose, then I think the writing is on the wall. But we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I think every single week you and Sim will be saying, is this Conte's last game?
Yeah, it kind of does feel like I think they'll keep him in the role up until, we're starting to fall out that top four. If we do lose this weekend, there's a massive chance that we do fall out that top four with Liverpool playing 12:30 against Bournemouth. If they win, they will go into the top four before kick-off on Saturday, 3 o'clock. So it's going to be a really interesting weekend, that's for sure. But in terms of the game, in terms of the matchups, the head-to-heads between Nottingham Forest and Tottenham Hotspur, we lost earlier this season in the Carabao Cup. But apart from that, we do have a really good record against Forest, albeit not played them too much in the last 10 years. I mean, you're looking at the last 5 games, backdating to 2005, 2014, 2022. I mean, when you think about Nottingham Forest, you think about them being a Premier League club, don't you?
When I grew up and started watching football, not only were they first division back then, but they were a force. Stuart Pearce, Nigel Clough, Des Walker, Steve Chettle, Ian Wone. They were a team. I mean, even before my time, they were right at the very top. You look at teams like Forest, and I think like Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry's and all that have been were the first teams in the Premier League when it came in '92. They're a massive club. They are a massive club that have been out of this league for way too long, and it's great to see them back in it. But yeah, when you look at those 5 head-to-heads, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nuts, the amount of time we have played them in the last 5 years. I mean, they're definitely a club who I consider probably a Premier League club, even though they haven't been that many for the previous years. But like maybe for the younger generation coming through that don't know much about Nottingham Forest, they probably will completely disagree with me.
Yeah.
But, I think that they've definitely had good players over the years. When you're looking at the form coming into it, I mean, Nottingham Forest have been impressive, really impressive this season. At the start, they brought in so many players, didn't they, at the start of the year? And everyone's thinking, are they going to go straight back down? Is it too many players to gel? But Steve Cooper, you got to give him credit because he's done an absolutely brilliant job. He's made the City Ground an absolute fortress this year. I don't think they've lost at home in the league since September or something like that. So you got to give him so much credit. But it's the away form where they're coming undone. You can see there 4 losses and 1 draw in their last 5 away games. It's the home form for us, which is keeping us ticking over. So, I mean, if we do lose this game against a team who can't buy a win away from home, and for a team like us who have got a fairly good record at home, I mean, it will say a lot, won't it?
It will speak volumes. But you've got to remember, I think I don't know if they've won one recently, but I think their only away win was against Everton in the beginning of the season, August or September. That's how long they've been without an away win. And I think the last one was a 4-0 drubbing by West Ham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So if they come to us and we can't pick up the 3 points, it will speak volumes. It really will. But like you said, they have started to do a wonderful job. And after bringing in that 20-odd players, first thing they did was sack their recruitment officer, wasn't it? So God knows what's going on there. But recently they have started to put a little bit of a run together, haven't they?
Yeah, no, they have, but it's mainly at home. Because like I said, the last 5 away games, like you say, a 4-0 defeat to West Ham, 2-0 defeat to Fulham, 2-0 defeat to Nottingham Forest, 1-1 away at Bournemouth. They even lost 4-1 to Blackpool in the Cup, who are not doing great in the Championship. So, I mean, away from home, they are really, really on poor form. Tactically, though, like, how do you think they've been doing this year? And how do you think that maybe Spurs should combat the threats of Nottingham Forest? They'll be flooding the midfield with 3 men and 3 hard workers in probably Jack Colback, Freuler and John Joe Shelvey. 3 really hard workers. So, I mean, tactically, how do you think we combat that?
So I think one of the things I love about Forest, when teams come up from the Championship and they play an expansive game of football and they're like, you can't do that in the Premiership, you'll get found out and you'll be back in the Championship before too long unless you really, really are a good unit. Their approach to this when they're struggling in relegation, I watched the Everton Forest game last week, which was before the Liverpool game, Liverpool United. It's one of the best games of football I've seen. I even tweeted saying, Michael, thank you, Nottingham Forest and Everton, for reminding me what good football looks like. So they're fearless. They will come out, and that kind of plays into our hand, doesn't it? But we were talking yesterday about we're not creating enough chances. I think that's where it's going to be the counter-attack, isn't it? Because if they're going to flood forward, because they haven't shown any sign of, you saw the West Ham Tonkin, they don't stop doing what they're doing. So we've got to have our attack on our game and get ready for the counter-attack. I think it's the only way we got them.
Yeah, and like you say, that probably is to their detriment in the away games.
In a way, yeah, for sure.
Because as much as, it's good on the eye when you see teams doing that, I mean, you need to have a bit more nous about you, especially away in the Premier League, don't you? Yeah,
well, 100%. And again, I think this may come into when you've got so many players coming in, they've had to adjust to playing with each other and everything. It hasn't been like a settled team from the beginning of the season, but you would think a way, especially coming into this game or this time of the season, where a point is a huge deal down there, huge deal down there. And they may tighten up, but I just can't see it with them. I just can't see it.
With the negative atmosphere seeping in, I was talking about it after the Milan game when I was saying Pochettino chants and Conte out chants and Levy out chants and literally everything that you can imagine in this split fan base at the moment. With this atmosphere coming into this game, maybe with Conte out being a bit more prevalent with the fans, do you think that will play massively into Nottingham Forest's hands this weekend?
I think, well, you got to remember as well, and it's still there, I've been checking the amount of empty seats that are there and just aren't even being taken on the exchange.
Like 2,500.
Yeah, it's growing, and the thing is, the odd ones are getting taken, but normally, like when I've spoken to Nick or to Danny or someone who has a season ticket, they've put it on the exchange, it's normally gone within like 20 minutes. This amount of tickets aren't going, so that's going to speak volumes already. And what we saw Wednesday at Milan is obviously, I think the fans will do what they always do at the beginning, be completely up for it, behind the team and doing what they do. But if they just see the negative football again, it's going to knock the stuffing out of them, isn't it? And then also you've got to remember the added clause with this is we didn't get to see it in a Spurs shirt, but you can pretty much guarantee a Serge Aurier masterclass coming through here. So there's that as well. But the fans always have a huge part to play. But in that as well, when the fans are doing the brilliant things that they do, the players have a responsibility to respond to that and keep them going. And we just have to see if they can do it.
Yeah, well, most definitely have to see if they can do it. In terms of the predicted lineup for Nottingham Forest, a lot of injuries for them to contend with. When you're looking at that extensive list, Willy Bolly, Scott McKenna, Ione, Henderson, Omar Richards, Bianconi, Niakite and Sheikh Kouyaté, both the latter being doubts. I mean, when you're looking at this team, this is the same team that they played in that 4-0 loss against West Ham. Yep. Serge Aurier is an interesting one, obviously. I was saying throughout that whole first half of the season, when Emerson was playing poor, when Spence wasn't getting a game, I was saying Aurier would walk into this team the way he's playing, and he's really impressed me this season, and probably a lot of Spurs fans as well.
I actually went on a few streams and said this as well, saying under a Conte system where the wing backs are urged to go forward, I think not saying he would have been brilliant, but I think he would have done better than what we had. The thing I see with that injury suspension list is, again, like when Eriksson got injured and United went out and got Sabitzer, Dean Henderson, who people know I want at Tottenham Hotspur as Hugo's successor, out with an injury. What they do? They go get Navas from PSG, and he's done well for them. But yeah, Aurier has been a breath of fresh air. That injury list is a big injury list. I mean, Kouyaté, player I like. Willy Bolly on his day can be a rock at centre back. But we could say we've got a similar injury list, haven't we, with key players?
Yeah, we've got an injury list probably that stretches out to 4 players, but they're all kind of long-term injuries and big players for us when you're talking about our captain in Hugo Lloris, Rodrigo Bentancur, probably our best player this season. Yves Bissouma, probably the player that would have come in for Rodrigo Bentancur, albeit Skip has been really good. So yeah, we do have important injuries, but I think that with the players that we do have fit, we should have enough to beat this Nottingham Forest team who seem to not do well away from home for all season pretty much. But when I'm looking at maybe the two players from Nottingham Forest and the two players that have really caught my eye this season in Morgan Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson. We'll talk about Brennan Johnson first. I mean, 7 goals, 2 assists in 25 games this season, 21 years of age, absolutely smashed out the Championship last season. I think he got about 17 goals or something when they came up. He took a bit of time to get accustomed to the Premier League, but recently especially, but he has shown it in spurts throughout the season. Fearless, speed, trickery, quality, knows where the goal is. I mean, he's a really good player, isn't he?
I've been very, very impressed with him. Recently, he's in a purple patch. You know what I've liked about him? It's the confidence and quality of his goals. These aren't tap-ins. He's running and using his pace and getting ahead of people. I think he did that, I believe, against Aston Villa. But just the calmness in the way he scored his second goal against Everton was incredible. And he also tried a little chip to try and make it 3-2. He is, at the moment, I can remember the commentators saying on Sunday, every time he gets near the penalty area, just shoot, because the form he's in, he has been very, very impressive and a huge reason to their recent resurgence.
So having said that, is it important for you that maybe Perisic gets left out for this one? Because you don't really want a 21-year-old Brennan Johnson coming up against Perisic at left wing back, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw after his recent performances, especially Wednesday, he's just, I feel a lot more comfortable with Ben Davies at left wing back, which I never thought I'd say, than I have with Perisic. In the last games against Chelsea and West Ham, Ben Davies got the assist in the West Ham game, and he's just got that defensive solidity that obviously we know Perisic hasn't got. And the one thing that Perisic has been known to do, he's not doing. So I will feel a lot more comfortable with Ben Davies at left back to keep an eye on him.
Only at Tottenham can you buy who was perceived as the best left wing back in Europe. Only at Tottenham can you sign who was perceived as the best left wing back in Europe, and then be more comfortable with Ben Davies playing there.
Yeah, but then also had to start missing Ryan Sessegnon.
Oh, man, this club, man. But when you're looking at the other side with Gibbs-White, I mean, he's been deployed in many different positions this season. But last game, he was playing more as maybe like the left-sided player on that system. 2 goals, 5 assists this season in 22 games. He's a player who I've been fairly impressed with. I've been more impressed with Brennan Johnson, to be fair, but I really like Gibbs-White. If he plays in that same position, would you like to see a Porro there or an Emerson there?
So I'm going to say to you what I said when I was back in Toronto, and it was the Nottingham Forest game in the Premier League where we won 2-0. And I spoke about Morgan Gibbs-White, and I said that I saw him at Wolves when he came on for his debut against us and was outstanding. I think he is a very, 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 very good player. I think he's one for the future. I really do. He's so technical. I think he's a real talent. And you look at it, like I said, he's been deployed all over the place, but it's really hard right now taking out who's playing against him. I think it's a real tough call now between Porro and Emerson, because it's obviously, if you're going defensive, you bring in Emerson, and if you want to go attacking and you're thinking get them on the counter attack, then it's got to be Porro. But both have stopped. Emerson has been fantastic for the last couple of months. Porro has started to show really positive signs. So that's a very, very tough choice for me. Right now, I don't think I could call it.
I mean, would you even like to see something outside of the box this weekend with maybe Porro right wing back, Emerson right centre back, Cuti Romero pushed into the middle, and then maybe a Longley on the left? Would you like to see that?
Whoa. I thought you were going to say maybe an Emerson at right wing back and a Porro at right winger instead of Kulusevski.
Yeah, that's also a shout, to be fair. That's also a shout.
Because if you look at it right now, I'm comfortable now with Emerson when he's at right wing back. I haven't got the anxiety or the worry or the stress when he's there. Moving him to right centre back, I'm not too sure. And we know that I was about to say that Romero isn't very dominant in the air, which he's going to need to be at centre back. But against Milan, it was the one good thing he did. So that one. So I think if you said to me, would you rather see what you said or maybe go with what I said and put Porro further forward because that's where we need him, I think I'll go for that one rather than. What about you?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, I think that Emerson deserves to play. I think Porro deserves to play. Kulusevski has been poor. recently, so maybe it is a good idea to take him out of the team. I mean, when you're looking at Eric Dyer, he doesn't feel anyone with too much confidence, but he's been out of the team for the last couple of games, so I do expect him to come back in. So maybe you got a shout there. Maybe Porro should start a bit further up the pitch, but I kind of feel like I'd like to see Porro in his natural position.
Yeah, there is. This is the thing. I mean, this predicted lineup's going to be fun today.
Yeah.
What we're just thinking about that. I think what we need to do now. I mean, that again with me saying Porro, that means Danjuma's on the bench again. So we're forgetting about that. I think Eric Dyer, like you said, does walk in. I think he's going to walk back in. He's been out for a couple of games. Obviously suspended for Milan. If we've got Davies at left wing back, then Longley is obviously going to play as one of them. So that's the left centre back done. Would I go Romero? So what would be the other alternative? Dyer, Romero, or experiment with Romero Emerson?
Yeah, but having said that, like, I can't see Dyer not playing this game just because he's been out the last couple of games. That's the problem.
So I think that solves that one. Unless he's got a slight knock at Dyer or something, I think it will be Dyer and Romero.
And what do you do with the Son, Richarlison, Danjuma situation? Because Sonny, again, really poor against Milan. Richarlison came out with that scathing interview, didn't he? It seemed like a direct attack on Antonio Conte, really. And Danjuma came in January, come on against Preston, looked good, scored a goal. He's had 1 or 2 minutes since then. Yeah,
it's something ridiculous. He's had more minutes in the FA Cup than he's had Premier League and Champions League together. So I'll break this down to what I think and what I want to see. I would love to see Kane, Richarlison, Danjuma. Love to, and that's just because I don't think Kulusevski and Son have been doing it, and take him out and give him a rest or whatever buzzword you want to use there. But I think with Richarlison's words, he may have just played himself out of the team.
Out of the team.
Or out of the starting lineup. Because no one wants to see that, especially when you're under pressure. So I think Richarlison may pay the price for it. And I would like to see Danjuma or Porro a right wing on the wing. I don't want to see Son. And listen, and before people say, "Oh my God, you're only saying this because of Harry Kane's white English, whatever." If Harry Kane, if there's a replacement for him, I put it. He has not been up to scratch, has he? But he is the one that is scoring the goals. So the three, what do we give them? 4s for me all round, 3s for you all around. So that shouldn't warrant starting in the next round game, should it?
No, it shouldn't. And what Harry Kane was saying after the game against Milan, he was saying that game against Sheffield United knocked them for 6, and they haven't seemed to recover from that. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, you're the ones that put in that dire performance. You're the ones that, you're the ones that should be responding and reacting like the professionals that you say you are. Yep. And it's ridiculous that you let a result like that fester for so long, and then it completely ruins our whole season. So what you're saying is what? Is it still going to fester like that on the weekend tomorrow against Nottingham Forest? Because if it does, then not only are we out the Champions League and out the FA Cup in the space of a week, we're going to be out this top 4 race pretty soon as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the line with when Stellini said we lost because we had a lack of energy. There's only so long you can use these excuses now. Like you said, these are professional footballers, elite athletes, some of them world-class, some of them captains for their country or at least internationals. You deal with this and move on. It's part and parcel of football. You don't win every game. Bad results happen, upsets happen. But when other clubs have them, they dust themselves down. Yeah, it may be a game or two, but then
Man United, they just lost 7-0 to Liverpool. Yeah. They respond straight away in the Europa League 4-1.
Perfect example. Perfect example. That's what the big boys and teams do. They don't go, "Oh yeah, we're really sorry. We're going to do better, but we'll learn from this." They'll go, "Okay, yeah, we fucked up. Let's go sort this out. Next performance, bang."
How worried are you actually coming into this game?
I've been worried for a long time.
But this game specifically, because you're looking at it, and on paper, it should be a straightforward routine win. Really, it should. When you're looking at Nottingham Forest's away performances, our home form is somewhat good. Since we lost to Aston Villa, I think we've gone on a really good run at home. Really, we've beaten Chelsea there, we've beaten West Ham there, Chelsea who we haven't beaten in so long. So on paper, it should be 3 points. But we just know Tottenham is anything but on paper.
So let's put it this way. Everything as we look at it from afar and on paper, it's like you've gone to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, given him a recipe, and he's going to cook it, and it comes out as a masterclass. What will happen with Spurs is you're going to a restaurant, you've got the recipe written down, and Stevie Wonder is your chef. That's the capability of what can happen with Tottenham Hotspur. All the ingredients here are set that it should be a 3 points. We should be able to get past them. But then you put in the Conte aspect, the Levy aspect, the empty crowd aspect, the negativity, the atmosphere. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it really is. Well, having said all that, what is your score prediction?
Mate, I've been saying it the last few weeks. I'm going for a positive 2-2.
2-2.
2-2 or 1-1. 1-1. I'm going 1-1 because we haven't been scoring. 1-1.
What am I going to go for?
I did say this with Wolves, so I hope I haven't jinxed it.
I think I'm going to go for... I think we'll just about get over the line this weekend. I think Nottingham Forest's away form will play into it. I mean, when you're looking at it, West Ham, who are in disarray themselves, I mean, they just got battered the week before, didn't they? And then Nottingham Forest go there and then they win 4-0. So I think that tells you a lot about Nottingham Forest's away form. So I think I'm going to go for 1-0 to Spurs. I think we'll just about sneak it.
Just about? Who do you reckon will score?
Just about sneak it. I'm going to go Harry Kane penalty, 1-0.
Harry Kane penalty, there we go. There we go.
Harry Kane penalty, 1-0. But we just need something positive to give to us.
Just need a goal. A goal.
Because these last 2 weeks of following this football club has literally killed all of us. I mean, everyone is down in the dumps. We just need something to lift us, whether that be the hiring of Maurizio Pochettino, getting Conte out. I mean, getting Conte out is a weird one for me because I love Antonio Conte. I really do. And I would love him to stay here for the foreseeable future. But like I keep saying, him being here and not committing and the football that we're playing and the results that we're getting is just festering and festering and festering and causing disillusionment within the fans. The fans are all over the place. There's a massive split. So I genuinely think that the only way now is for him to leave.
Yep.
As much as I love him. So I actually think if he was to leave and Poch was to come in, let's say this happened today or tomorrow, I think automatically there becomes a resurgent in the fan base and maybe a bit of a lift in the fan base. Maybe not resurgent completely, but we need that as a fan base right now. We need that lift, and the longer Conte stays here, I just think the passion just goes down and down at this football club. And like you mentioned before, how many seats are available for this Nottingham Forest game? The day before that Milan game, there were no seats available.
Yep.
None. And now there's nearly 2,500, and I know so many people that don't have tickets on the exchange as well that have spare tickets. So God knows how many kind of tickets are really available. But we just need something to lift us right now, and unfortunately Conte staying here and the football that we're playing is just playing into that depression factor at Spurs at the moment. But having said that, I am going for a 1-0 win and to give the fans a bit of a lift this weekend and to stay in the top four. We got a good run now, so we have to just get these results by hook or by crook, no matter how we get them.
And just to say that as well, you remember you saying you were saying positive. We've got very shortly Conte's press conference coming out, and I think
starting in 2 minutes.
Starting in 2 minutes. There you go. So that'll be starting in 2 minutes. You got to remember, as soon as that's out and people have access to it and can see it, his body language, his tone of voice, his comments are going to start another round of either Conte in, Conte out, or what's he talking about. There's going to be more stuff coming our way.
Is there anything that we can learn anymore, though? Because I think that we're all in kind of acceptance that we know that we don't want him to be here past the end of the season as the hierarchy of the club. He doesn't want to be here past the end of the season. So what more can we actually learn?
Like I said, we're on the 12 steps of sobriety in Tottenham. We've all got to the acceptance level that this is about to happen. Yeah. It's just a case of when. We're already embracing ourselves for when this actually happens and is official. And yeah, I remember watching the first Conte press conference, and my channel were doing straight out of Conte, and that you just loved what he had to say. And then after what he said at Milan, I don't know what he was watching. It's just like, what are you talking about? Well, so it's delusion, isn't it?
I think we might have some Italian job T-shirts going for free soon. If anyone wants any.
I've got one of them. I've forgotten about that.
No, but look, that is our match preview. Brian's going for 2-2. I am going for 1-0 to Spurs. I want to know your score predictions in the comment section as well.